Hi guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So we are here for another one of our mask making sessions, and would you believe we have done 100 weeks of mask making, we have done 100 weeks of reruns, and we also have done 10 weeks of the, you know, what I called the extra time, where we did the 10 weeks of slightly different items that we'd never made before. So we have now come to the end of all of those sessions. So what I thought it would be quite nice to do is, before we start like our third round of mask makings, is have a slightly different video, which I would call like mask making tips and tricks, and just kind of generally, you know, kind of, yeah, having a look at the importance of mask making. So that's what this video is going to be about. So I'm just going to move my few things to the side, and we would just kind of get chatting and, you know, having a bit of a kind of explore really of the mask making kind of concept when it comes to making your junk journals. So for those people who follow my channel, and, you know, maybe you can remember when I first started doing the mask makings, I did them really because I was struggling to, you know, to get my journals made because they take such a vast amount of time. And so I thought that I would trial the mask making, see if anybody tuned in, see if I found them helpful, and then we'd go from there. And touch wood, they've kind of like, you know, grown in popularity. And I think lots of people have now, you know, taken on the mask making kind of concept as well, because, you know, it is actually really, really handy. So first of all, how do I store my mask makings? So I store my mask makings, you know, items. I've got some in my craft cart, but obviously I couldn't bring that to the, you know, to the table, because it's on the floor. And it's pretty messy over there, so I didn't really want to take the camera to the craft cart. But I also have an overflow of kind of mask making things that I like to keep kind of handy on the desk. Well, I don't keep it on the desk. That's not quite true, because my desk is just so full it wouldn't fit. But keep it sort of close by, because my craft cart's kind of over, you know, over the other side. So this is my mask making box currently. Now, I have to confess, this part at the back, well, quite a few of these are mask making things that I've mask made on my own, not even in the videos. So, you know, you will see things here that they are the same as what we've mask made, but, you know, I haven't done them in the mask making sessions, if you see what I mean. So how have I stored them? I've stored them in a shoebox. Now, I've cut the lid off of the shoebox so that I've got ease of use to be able to get to everything. Now, in my craft cart, I've got like the index cards in between my, you know, different types of pockets and things like that. In this shoebox, they are all grouped by types. So I've got same pockets all next to each other, you know, kind of same there, same there, same there, but they don't have an index card in between. So the ones in my craft cart are actually more organized than this, but like I say, I just wanted to be able to kind of show you. Now, the other thing is of course I've got more of some things left than others. So of course this is quite full of our more recent mask makes. So for instance, I think my first mask make was something like, it might have been a coin envelope or something like that, or possibly a policy envelope. I think it was one of those. I don't think I've really got any of those left, because of course that was 100 weeks ago. You know, so those have now run out. So, you know, that's another reason why I'm finding it quite handy to do the reruns of the mask making. And, you know, we've talked about this before, the mask making concept of just spending 1 hour, approximately 1 hour per week, just mask making a whole bunch of the same item. You know, an hour is not really a lot of your time to kind of invest, but actually it's going to prove very, very, very useful when you've got like a whole box like this eventually of mask made items. So like I say, obviously, you know, some of my items have now run out, and some, you know, the more recent things I've got plenty of still, you know, but pretty much say within, you know, 10 or 15 weeks, you're going to have built up quite a, you know, a reasonable supply of things. So, you know, that's another reason why I find it quite good to do the reruns, is because obviously, you know, 100 weeks ago, I've kind of run out of those items and possibly some of the others. So by doing the you know, the reruns, although it seems quite boring, you know, and possibly some people think, oh gosh, you know, how boring, she's just going to do the same thing. But for me, it's A, you know, I've run out of those particular items, so I could do with replenishing my stocks. B, obviously there's people who haven't maybe watched my channel before, so hopefully it's going to be handy for them to, you know, to see the items being mass made perhaps for the first time. And, you know, I think it's just a really different format of video to any other videos that, you know, that I film. And I'm not saying compared to anybody, but that I film, because they're just this very kind of like chilled out, you know, session. And we just have kind of more of a chatty, nice kind of laid back time. So yeah, I find it very productive and very, very useful. So that's the kind of first thing. Now I've got to just refresh my notes, because I did actually make notes for this video, which, I mean, I hardly ever, well, never really make notes for a video, but this one I thought I will actually make the notes. Right, okay, so this is how I store them. That's the reason for, you know, for doing the mass making, and the reason for doing now the mass making reruns. So for anybody who's kind of, you know, wondering why we're doing them, that's why, and that's why we're doing the reruns. So the other reasons why I think, you know, they're pretty kind of beneficial to do them is it helps you make a variety of styles of pockets. So for instance, when you know, especially, well, I say especially when you first start, actually I don't even think that you know, is necessarily true. I think at any point it's quite easy to get into you know, maybe your favorite pocket that you really enjoy making at the moment, or, you know, the pockets that you've made most of maybe recently, or something like that. And then your journal may become full of the same sort of pockets. So, you know, you may have kind of 4 pockets just repeated throughout a journal, and not that there's anything wrong with that. But by having, you know, a bunch of mass-made items, you've got more potential for putting more variety of different pockets in your journals, because you can go through your stash and kind of think, oh, I'll pull one of those. Oh, perhaps I'll try one of those. So you're more likely to have a variety of pockets in your journals. So that's kind of, you know, one good, really, you know, handy reason for, you know, doing mass-made kind of pockets and things like that. So the second reason why I would say it's pretty handy to do, and especially, you know, when you're keeping them all stored together rather than just maybe scattered around, is I've seen quite a lot of people do like the reference books of, you know, where they glue in a particular pocket, you know, that they've made before, and yeah, just as a reference to go back and sort of, oh, you know, how did that pocket work, or, you know, did I like that pocket? This for me is instead of a reference book, really, because I find I don't need a reference book. I've got all my pockets here, all made. So, you know, for example, I might just have one pocket left of, you know, one type. I mean, I'm just kind of looking through here. Oh, I don't know. Say this one, you know, which was that Rachel from Roxy Creations, her little secret pockets that we made. I might only have one of those left, but it's in here. So when I flick through my little kind of shoebox full of pockets, I can find that and stumble across that. I don't need to glue that into a reference book. I've got it right here, actually, you know, ready to use. So, you know, that's another quite good benefit of obviously having them. I mean, yes, of course, you're going to, you know, you could then use that and then you've got none of those. But, you know, you've only got X amount of weeks, and then we're going to do a rerun, and you're going to make a bunch of those again. So, you know, the chances are you're going to probably have them for certainly quite a long time. And you could always do your own mass making session, you know, if you kind of love a particular pocket. For example, if you loved these and you were about to use your last one, you could just set aside an hour and mass make a whole bunch more of these, and then put them in with your mass made items. And that way, you know, you've got your stocks replenished, and you don't need to actually kind of keep a record of that pocket. You're going to remember, you know, what that pocket was anyway. So that's kind of another really good bonus that I think is, you know, is pretty good. Another quite handy thing I think about the mass making is it's an opportunity to use, you know, some scraps and things like that. So for example, let me just pull in one that's going to actually highlight this. Well, let's take these, for example. Now, these were the Wendy over at Wendy's Journal Adventures. So she made the reinforced vellum pockets with the fabric at the top. So this isn't using, obviously, you know, scraps of paper, but it is using scraps of fabric. So, you know, another good reason for making the mass makes is, for example, this. You could mass make a bunch of a particular thing that uses a lot of your scraps of fabric, or if it were a particular pocket, maybe you're going to use a scrap of paper to, you know, do the other side or the inside or something like that. So they're another quite good way of using up scraps and things like that. So that's another, you know, really good reason. And then the other thing that I think is quite handy is it pushes you out of your comfort zone when decorating your pockets. And we're going to go into this a bit more in a moment, because we're going to take a couple and we're going to, you know, do like a sort of, not a part 2, but yeah, an extended kind of, I don't know, mass making tip kind of part to this video, I suppose is what I would call it. So what I'm saying by that is, what we're going to do, we're going to look at a journal that I'm making currently. And I've already selected a bunch of things from my mass making tray from here. And the only reason why I've done that, you know, ahead of time was just to obviously save you guys watching me painstakingly go through my box and finding things. So what you then would have to do is obviously incorporate them into the journal that you're making, which it's quite easy, you know, I find, because I'm, you know, I'm quite drawn to matchy. I would then, sorry if you can hear the dog shaking and yeah, shaking outside the door, is that I would then use like one, you know, particular paper type or one colour scheme to make all of my pockets, you know, because I'm kind of, you know, loving that colour, or maybe I've used, you know, a particular kit or something like that. But the quite nice thing about the mass making is, you know, the chances are your pockets are going to be from slightly different papers. So although they may well be a good match colour wise, they're going to possibly be slightly different papers to what you would, you know, ordinarily choose if you were, for example, using a complete kit. So it's going to just kind of push you out of your comfort zone and kind of extend your decorating skills, or your decorating what would the word be? I'm not sure how to describe it, but, you know, you're going to actually kind of like decorate in a slightly different way to if you were using a kit where everything matches perfectly. So I think that's quite an exciting thing about the mass made items. And then the other thing that I think is another good bonus, and I lost track now as to how many tips that we're up to, but I think we're up to tip number 5, is that basically, if there is an item that you find quite tricky to make, by mass making these items, you're going to get much, much better and much faster at making them. So, for example, now these are not the mass made, oh gosh, what do you call them? You know, policy envelopes. These are the policy envelopes that I did a recent tips and tricks for making the policy envelopes. But I did talk about it in that video. I personally find policy envelopes pretty tricky to make. I find them quite fiddly. I find them quite time consuming. I do absolutely love the look of them, and I do love using them. But especially at first, when I very first started making journals, I'm so sorry, I'm just going to have to just answer my phone. Hold on. Gosh, I'm so sorry about that. That was my son. He's got a day off today. So he was just phoning to say he's just had something go wrong on his car. Honestly, poor thing. He's had one thing after another going wrong with his car. So, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. You can hear Bo. She's now obviously trying to sleep and telling me I'm disturbing her. Right, where were we? So, yes. The benefits of the mass making. So yes, we were up to point number 5, and I personally found the policy envelopes very, very, very fiddly to make. I still find them quite fiddly, and you know, if you watch my recent kind of tips and tricks how to make the coin envelopes with a slight twist, that was a big help for me. And it's kind of like, yeah, I would say kind of like sped up the process, and it's quite a good way of making them. Plus, I quite like the look of them having the two different papers. But if you didn't want to do that and you're making them in the conventional way, you know, you may find, like me, that they're quite a time-consuming item to make. And so when I first started making journals especially, I loved the look of them, and I really wanted to have them in my journals. But I kind of dreaded making them, and it was like, oh gosh, you know, I really want to have one of those, but you know, I don't really know how to make them properly or quickly or easily. And yeah, they were kind of like the bane of my life. Now you've probably, you know, or possibly got a pocket or an item that you find, you know, is like your nemesis. And I think by mass making, you know, because we're doing that assembly line thing, it breaks down the stages, which is rather nice because, you know, you're doing like all the folding together, then you're doing all the gluing together, then you're doing all, you know, all the cutting together, for example. But you're doing it multiple times, which of course, you know, your brain kind of like then goes into this, oh, that's how I do it. Oh, yep, I just fold that up and, you know, and it just makes it simpler. So definitely for me, it's kind of like made things that previously didn't necessarily scare me, but, you know, definitely I kind of shied away from. I thought, oh gosh, you know, I don't like making those. It's just made them simpler and more accessible. And it's kind of like, yep, I feel free to tackle them now because, you know, I've mass made them. And so I've got more comfortable with the process of making a particular item. For me personally now, I probably still have one or two items that are, you know, something that I find quite faffy to make. There are two that spring to mind. And funnily enough, they're two of my, again, favourite things. And, you know, just like the policy envelope, that was one of my favourite things. The other two are the Gail Agostinelli faux front envelopes. I absolutely love them. But I do find them very, very, very fiddly to make and very time consuming. So again, you know, for me, obviously we're going to be doing a third run of the mass makes. Hopefully that's going to make me become much more comfortable with making those because, you know, I'm going to be making them for a third time. But also it's quite nice to have then a bunch of them ready made because there's something I find very hard to make. And the other item that I still, you know, still struggle with and still... I mean, I don't struggle to make them. I just struggle with the fiddly element and the fact they take a while. Are the scrapbooking with me fold out booklets. Now, unfortunately, I haven't even got any left of either of those items because they're quite fiddly. And I think we only ever make about 4 or 5 per mass making session. So, of course, I've used them all now in journals. But that's the other item that I find still to this day quite a sort of faffy, fiddly, you know, pushing me out of my comfort zone item to make. But I do absolutely love them. So for me personally, it's the repetitive process of just keep making the same thing, which is kind of easing the process and making it less kind of scary and intimidating. And B, I love having then those particular items that I find quite off-putting to make, having them in my stash ready to go. So that's another bonus for making the mass-made items. And then the final reason, so reason number 6 of the tips and tricks for your mass making and, you know, reasons to do mass making is, of course, the obvious one, which is it is going to save you a whole bunch of time. So I can't emphasize this enough. I mean, when I first started making journals, I just could not believe how long they took. I mean, still now, I have to say, there are times when I just feel like I'm never, ever going to finish a certain journal. You know, they just seem to take forever. Sorry, I'm just struggling to see where this actually goes. I think I did have a couple of other coin envelopes, so I'm trying to put it in its correct place. Yes, so I do still find sometimes that I'll have, you know, a journal that it feels like it's gone on and on forever. And there's no rhyme or reason for, you know, for which journals feel like that. You know, it's not a particular type or anything like that. But just every now and then, you know, I'll just get one and think, oh my goodness, you know, that journal's taken forever to make. And it feels like it's never, ever, ever going to be done. So the mass making element really, really, really cuts down on the making of your journals. I find personally, you know, because if you're making every single thing from scratch as you do a journal, of course your journal's going to take quite a long time to make. And, you know, by quite a long time, I mean, we're talking hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So, of course, having those mass-made things, you know, you've still put in hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, you know, of making time, you know, to do your journal, but it's been spread out. So, you know, when you then come to actually assemble your journal and put it together, it's going to just be, you know, hours and hours and hours instead of hours and 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 hours. So, yeah, for me personally, that's obviously the biggest reason for the mass making. So, that being the case, what we're going to do, we're going to have a look. So, I have just grabbed a few items here, which I have, you know, got in my mass made stash. And I've got this journal here, which I'm working on at the moment, which as you can see is kind of pinks and purples and things like that. So I just want to have a look at if I wanted to now make these to tie in with the journal that I'm making. Now, obviously, I have picked out from my, you know, from my mass made box, items with pinks and purples so that they're going to obviously naturally go with my, you know, with my journal that I'm making. That being said, they're not, you know, they're not kind of the same colours, if you see what I mean. So, I mean, some go better than others. That one goes really, really nicely. This one, obviously, it's quite bright. You know, this one, again, pretty bright in comparison to that page, for example. This one, you know, again, kind of needs a bit of tweaking to get it to tie in. This one, I mean, actually, I think that one goes pretty well. This one, obviously, again, you know, is quite bright. So, you know, even these, even though I've picked the ones that I think are going to go the best, they're still not perfect. You know, I would still need to kind of now tailor them to, you know, the journal that I'm actually making. But I also want to have a look at just one, you know, one example of something that's, say, completely different. And how would you get that to tie in? So I've got this. Now, this was made using my autumn, I think it was called the Autumn Blush. It was my autumn kit from last year, I think. And obviously, as you can see, for a start, it's got foxes on it, which, you know, if I wasn't doing an autumn journal, personally, I wouldn't then, you know, choose to have foxes and pumpkins on a pocket. But also, this is, you know, this is, of course, not really going with this journal. So let's have a look and kind of see how we're going to adapt some of these things and tie them in. So I'm just going to clear my desk. Hold on. Okay, so I've cleared a space now. So I thought when I moved it, saying clear my desk really sounded very optimistic. Trust me, my desk is definitely not clear at all. But I just wanted to move the box because there was a big danger of it slipping off the desk onto either bow this way or over the other side. And then, of course, everything would be all over the floor. And it would be all mixed in with everything else that's all over the floor. So I wanted to get it off the desk. Right, okay. So for the journal that obviously I'm making, I've used lots of my damask papers, and I've also used lots of my documents papers. And like I said, I've obviously got a pink and purples, and, you know, I've got some duck egg blues and things like that theme going on there. So personally speaking, you know, I want to obviously continue that theme in those sort of colours. So the best way that I would kind of try and do that is obviously take some of those papers and incorporate them onto the mass made things, you know, that are actually in different colours currently, if that makes sense. So if you had, you know, because you may be using scrapbook paper or something like that. So if this were scrapbook paper, but you maybe had some digitals, or maybe you had some book page or something that, you know, particular book page that you wanted to tie in, you'd take your piece made from the scrapbooking paper, for example, so this. So I'm just going to move my other ones, which, you know, these ones I feel, you know, they're less of a challenge because they are at least, you know, at least kind of typically in the colours. So here, for example, I've got my, obviously, like I said, the autumn blush papers. Now, I would probably want to cover up all the bits with the foxes. So I'm going to take my damask paper. I'm just going to tear it down here first. Okay, so I want to kind of put it over here. Now, I don't mind if I have the odd bit showing, because that doesn't really look like a pumpkin. You can't, you know, you can't necessarily tell that it's a pumpkin. So I'm just going to, whoops, place that there. And then I'm just going to sort of mark it here so as I know roughly, you know, the line that I'm looking at. Okay. So like that. And that way I've kept that gorgeous, beautiful colour of the paper, but I've effectively got rid of, you know, the foxes and the pumpkins. Okay. So like that. Just was checking which way round. Now I've got a run of foxes at the top, but what I can do is cover that up with maybe like some lace or something like that. So I've got some lace here just to the side. So I'm going to just quickly ink the inside, because this is, you know, just plain white. It's not been coffee dyed or anything. So I'm just going to ink this up with my Vintage Photo Distress ink. Obviously, I could coffee dye this, but just for, you know, speed purposes, really, for the video, I'm just going to use the ink instead. So you just go around there like that. Okay. And then, of course, I've got those foxes on the inside as well. So I'm going to want to cover those up as well. But I'm going to deal with that afterwards. So I'm going to just deal with the front first. And then we can go on the inside afterwards. So like that. And then I'm just going to fold that back. And just tear that down like that. Okay. There we go. So I'm just going to glue that on. I like to use my Anita's tacky glue. Oops. Oh, come on. Oh dear. Well, this is not good, is it? I have been using my glue all morning because I've been doing something else, another video. And yeah, I don't know why it's now failing me. Let me just get a paper clip quickly that I can use to poke into my glue. So I did have one here on the desk, but who knows where it's disappeared to now. Okay. Oops, hold on a second. Okay, right, so pop this down. Like that. Oops. And just pop that over my foxes as they are covered up. Just use my glue spreader like that, and my wipe to just mop out any excess glue. Okay. Aha, right. This just happens to be laying around on my desk, but I'm kind of thinking maybe we could have something like this on there. This is just from my documents papers. So yeah, could maybe have that down there. And that's just going to cover up obviously a bit more of like one of those foxes. So let's just pop that on. Again, just a complete scrap, that is. Okay. So we'll just relax now and have kind of a nice time decorating this. And I'll just kind of highlight when I'm doing anything, you know, covering stuff up. So yeah, so I hope everybody is having a good start to their week. My week has only just started. As you know, I normally film the mass making sessions on a Monday, ready to go up for you guys on a Tuesday. So that's what I'm doing now. So it's quite a nice day here today. We had a horrible weekend. It was just, oh, foul weather again. So we just seem to have nothing but rain at the moment. So yeah, it's been really miserable. Now, I'm debating, do I want this lady, this My Great Expectations papers, or do I want this image, which I absolutely love, from my documents papers? So I might have to try each. So tear that down like that. Okay. Oh, that film Wonka is out this week. So I talked about it, I think, last week in my video and said that I was going to try and see it. So yeah, it's come out now. Weirdly, I didn't think it was out until next week. And yeah, it came out on Friday, but I haven't watched it yet. But I'm going to hopefully try and watch it this week at some point. So it looks good, doesn't it? If anyone's seen the trailer of it, or maybe you've seen the film. So yeah, let me know below. Have you seen the film? Or, you know, maybe just the trailer. So, I mean, like that. And then we could just literally put the pink lace at the top, and that's covered up all of those foxes, hasn't it? So, yeah. Very, very pretty. So, pop that down. Okie dokie. So, I just think that looks quite pretty over to the side rather than the centre. Okie, like that. And then yeah, the pink lace just going across the top, which looks gorgeous, doesn't it? So just pop that down like that. Okay, like that. So I mean, I suppose what we're trying to emphasize here really is that if you've made mass making pieces from papers that, you know, you now think, oh, what am I going to use that with? You know, it doesn't really kind of go, i.e. this, you know, it was an autumn piece, which, you know, if I wasn't doing an autumn journal, I wouldn't feel was necessarily, you know, I wouldn't feel comfortable using it. This is quite a good way to now, you know, to be able to make use of it. I would hate to just waste it and not be able to use it. So by doing this, it's then becoming, you know, becoming usable. So that, and then we open this up. We want to obviously cover up some of the foxes and things in here as well. So again, I've got just a little scrap of that damask paper left. So let's just see. Now, I did do thumb holes in this, which is pretty annoying because if I didn't have the thumb holes, it would probably actually be easier to cover up my foxes. You know, because they would be, yeah, just a little bit easier to cover up. But anyway, I mean, it's fine. It doesn't really matter. Let's just see. Okay, just having a look and seeing which way round we want to put this. Could have it there, and then just maybe a little bit of lace over here, or we could have the lace there. So let me just see what's going to cover up best, because obviously there's a lot more fox showing here than there is on this side. So yeah, probably do it that side like that. Again, I just like to cut off that curly edge. There we go. Still haven't started my Christmas shopping. I know. Just awful. I don't know why I don't start it, but I think I just like to live life on the edge. Crazy situation. But yeah, I do need to get on with it, to be honest. I mean, I don't know what I'm dithering about for. You know, I'd be sorry because Christmas will suddenly be here and it'll be like, oh no, I haven't bought anything. You know, as if suddenly it's like crept up on me and I just wasn't aware that it was coming. I mean, what's that about? Right, now, just positioning the paper round. So I'm now wondering actually whether I might have some of the documents collection on that side. So let's just take that. Or perhaps the other way. So let's do that one. Oops. Over there. Like that. And then this Just tuck down, oops, tuck down there, like that, and then the bit of lace. Oops, come on. Oh my gosh, I'm having one of those fingers and thumbs days again. Always really annoying when you have those, isn't it? Well, who knows, maybe you don't have them, but yeah, I seem to have them quite often. They're very annoying. There we go. So we're going to have that like that. Now, just wondering, I probably need to just do a little bit here to get the shape of the thumb hole. So like that, okay. Right, just pop that down there. Okay. Just going to smooth that glue out a bit, just because otherwise it's quite a lot of glue and I might just dab it everywhere. So just pop that one down like that, okay. Whoops. Just trying to slide it a bit, okay. And then this end, I'm just going to tear that because I'm not over keen on that straight edge, so. Okay. Oh, sorry, that was my other son, so. Okay, right. Oh, that looks awful now. I've done it too small. What an idiot. Oh dear. Unless I have it this way. Oh, we could do it like that, I suppose, yeah. Yeah, we could do it like that. Not sure. Let me just see whether I can tear any other. Okay. So I think next week we will have a different video just for next week. So we have 1 week off from the mass making and then we will resume again. Although I just need to double check because I'm not sure what day Christmas is. You guys possibly do know. Let me just have a look. Christmas is... Christmas is on the Monday. So, yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, we'll probably resume on the, Boxing Day. That being said, I do quite often do a little mini-series between Christmas and New Year. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to have time to do that this year. So... if that's running, there won't be a mass making. Obviously, that week we will resume in the new year. But obviously, if I don't have time to actually do that, then, we'll of course have the mass making session as normal. So, yeah, we may or may not have mass making on Boxing Day, but we won't have one next week. We will have, I will still upload a video, but it will just be an alternative video. Just because I think otherwise we've got a bit of a stop-start situation because we've got Christmas. And if I end up doing a mini-series, I don't think that's neat and tidy. So I think it would be better probably to just have, a gap and then resume them in the new year. But having said that, I may not even be doing a series anyway because there might not be time to get one filmed. So we should just have to wait and see. Right, let's move this. So that pocket looks fine, doesn't it? And then here, again, we just want to cover up the foxes on here. So we could have that on there and then take a bit more of the same paper. Like that. Okay, so if we had that there, for example, and then that there. So, yeah, I mean, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? And obviously, I'm going to trim this out. So, just glue it down and then we'll trim it. Okay. There we go. So, pop that there. Like that. So, I mean, already, that just looks gorgeous, doesn't it? I mean, I like it, obviously, with the foxes and the pumpkins. It's super pretty paper, and especially being an autumn theme, but with the pinks and the duck egg blue. But, like I said, for me, if I'm not doing an autumn themed journal, I don't necessarily want to have the pumpkins and the foxes. So, it's quite nice now, having used it to make a pocket, I don't want to now waste it, you know, I don't want to waste that pocket. So this way I'm just finding a way round, you know, covering up sort of the bits that I've decided I don't want, which is in my case here the foxes and the pumpkins. So there we go. So we're just going to glue that one down like that. Okay, and then have I got any more lace? Yeah, so we might even be able to have a bit of lace somewhere, maybe just hanging out somewhere, something like that. Okay, so just pop that one down there. Okay, oops, forgot that I hadn't glued that lace down. And then I'm just going to ink this edge up, so I'm going to put my card in there so that I've got an edge to ink to, like that. I mean, let me know below, you know, what do you think? Have the mass making sessions, have they been a game changer for you? You know, have they completely transformed the way you make your journals? You know, have you taken the mass making concept, the assembly line concept, and taken that into other areas of your life? And I know that sounds a bit strange, but I find myself now adopting that technique in other things that I do. You know, which I find really, really, really helpful, because, you know, it's surprising the amount of things that you can then do in an assembly line style. So even like, I don't know, chopping vegetables, for example, you know, you may find that, oh, I'm going to chop all the veg and then wash all the veg or something like that, you know. Have you found that you've been doing things like that? Or, you know, not so much really, but, you know, I've found it a yeah, quite a sort of life-changing concept, really. And, you know, obviously I'm not trying to say that I made up the concept of assembly line. Obviously that comes from factories, but, you know, I just probably hadn't really practiced it much until it came to kind of using it in journals. And then actually, you know, I've found it so useful in journals that actually I don't know whether I've deliberately kind of started using it in other things, or whether actually it's just been a sort of natural progression. But I have found myself now, you know, using it in other areas of my life as well. So yeah, just let me know, kind of, do you feel that it's been kind of beneficial in that point or not really? Right, okay, so we've got that. And then I've used quite a bit of sari silk in this particular journal, so I'm going to just take a little bit of sari silk here. I've been using this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pale pink, which, oh my goodness, I just literally can't get enough of this colour. It's so gorgeous, isn't it? So I just take the sari silk and tear it in half, and then, yeah, we could then pop that round, tie that in a bow, just like that. Now, obviously, the back of my piece has still got foxes, you know, on here. I mean, personally, I don't mind that, because I would be gluing this down. You know, it wouldn't be a, you know, a tuck-in piece. It will be a glued down piece. Obviously, if it were going to be a, you know, a tuck-in piece or a, you know, movable piece, I would now do similar to what I've done on the front on the back. So I would just cover up the back pieces with, you know, more of the same sort of papers and things like that as well. So, you know, you can easily get around. You don't have to kind of like be stuck with anything, you know. Oops, I'm just getting some pearly trim. Okay, so I'm just wondering, I want to have this. Oh my goodness, I mean, how gorgeous does this look? Or I've got my black bling trim, which of course I always absolutely love using. So, and I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to everybody who's placed an order in my online shop. either my Etsy or my shabbydabbydoodah.co.uk website. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So thank you so, so much. You know, it really is so very helpful. And, you know, yeah, thank you so, so much. And I just want to say I have now done a restock on my shabbydabbydoodah.co.uk website, because I know that last week I kept saying, oh, you know, we'll be doing a restock. Well, I didn't end up doing it until today. That's what I've been doing this morning. So yeah, it has now got, you know, more things on there, but I didn't actually get around to doing it until this morning, you know, because obviously I hadn't made the items until over the weekend. So yeah, but thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate everybody's support. It's just, yeah, absolutely like life-changing. So thank you so much. You know, yeah, well, I couldn't be here obviously without you guys, so you know, I would yeah, not be able to be doing this. So thank you so much. Right, there we go. So I'm going to probably just leave that one like that. Isn't it just beautiful? I absolutely just love it so much. So I'm going to put that to one side. So I just put that to one side. So let's pull in another one. So let's pull in this one, which again, I'm feeling this one's a little bit more tricky because I've just got those little bits of green from the leaves. Now, that's probably me being completely, you know, ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure that those leaves aren't really presenting much of a problem, but, you know, I personally do find them a little bit, oh, you know, I haven't really got any green going on in the journal. So for me, they do feel a little bit kind of problematic. So, you know, yeah, they are kind of, you know, I'm just aware that they're not really going. So again, I've got that same paper. So I'm just going to again pull that in. Now I'm kind of thinking I could even cover up one entire side, or certainly, you know, tear a little piece down. So let's just have a look at the torn edge first. See whether we could get away with just a torn piece anywhere. So, well, maybe I would just do it like that. So just tear that down. Actually, I'm just going to slim that down a bit. Okay, so I mean, that looks pretty nice, doesn't it? So I'm going to just glue this down here. So yeah, I hadn't even got as far as actually finishing this pocket off after the mass making session. So now these pockets, I think we said at the time that we could either, you know, fold this around and tuck it, or you could snip it off. I'm just going to fold that around like that. Okay, like that. And then just going to trim that bottom off. There we go, like that. And then this I'm just going to glue on here. Oops, I don't think I wanted that glue there. Forgot. Okay, so we just pop that down like that. Okay. Like that. Now, just going to snip that out here. And on here. Okay, and then on the back, I'm going to just take this here, I think. Do I want that, or do I want this? Oh, it's a bit tricky. I'm not sure which. Let me just take this down. I might end up cutting this and it won't even fit in that gap, but we'll see. Just take that like that. Okay, just snip that. Oh, snip that down like that. Oh, I went on my gym Christmas do on Friday. So yeah, I think I talked about it last week. So I went with my gym friends and we went out for a meal. Oh my goodness, it was the yummiest meal ever. It was so delicious. Now we went to that restaurant called Bill's, which we have over here. I don't know whether it's, you know, a restaurant that's in other countries. I don't know. But anyway, we went in there. There's one in our town centre. Oh my gosh, it was so delicious. You know, when you have those meals and you can't stop thinking about them. I mean, it's probably fueled by the fact that I barely cook anything decent anymore, to be honest. So, you know, I just really enjoyed having a decent meal. I don't know. Oh, it was absolutely yummy. So my friend, he is also vegetarian. And so he also had the same as I had, which was, it was a vegan Wellington. Vegan Wellington. It was so delicious, and yeah, he said it was absolutely delicious as well. And my other friend, she is not vegetarian. Well, in fact, two of the ladies, neither of them are vegetarian. And you know, I said to them, oh my goodness, my meal was so lovely, you know, how was yours? And they both said, oh, it's all right. So yeah, obviously vegetarian choice in there is the way to go if you're having the Christmas meal in there. Sorry, I just had to stop the camera and see if I had any more of that pink lace. I couldn't see any, so I'm just going to I mean, I'm sure I probably have got some, but yeah, not within grabbing distance. So I'll just use, I think, the sari silk. So we'll just go around this like that. Yeah, anyway, so if you are going to Bill's at all for a Christmas meal, definitely it would appear that, you know, the vegetarian is the option to go for, because, oh my goodness, that was absolutely delicious. Like, really, really scrumptious. You know, to the point I've kind of been thinking about it ever since. It was so yummy. Yeah, vegan Wellington. And then they did these amazing vegetables. So it was just sprouts with sweet potato. But what they did was they kind of like cubed the sweet potato, so it was about the size of the sprouts. And then I would assume they roasted them with the sprouts, and they put like, and this sounds horrible, but they put oh gosh, what are those things called? Pine nuts and something else, I think. Pine nuts and, oh, I can't remember what the other thing was, but anyway, pine nuts and something in there. Oh my goodness, it was so scrumptious. Oh, why is that not? Oh, sorry, just going to start that again, because for some reason that did not ruffle at all. Don't know why that didn't want to ruffle. Maybe I didn't have enough glue. Yeah, I don't know whether they were pine nuts. Pine nuts, and I think they were. Actually, no, I don't think they were. I think they were sunflower seeds. Yeah, sunflower seeds and something or other. No, they weren't sunflower seeds, actually. They were the green ones. What are those? Pumpkin seeds. That's the ones. Pumpkin seeds. Oh my gosh. I mean, I would never put, like, you know, sweet potato, sprouts and pumpkin seeds in. But I mean, it worked. Just, oh, phenomenally lovely. Phenomenally lovely. Anyway, it was delicious. So yeah, now I'm going to cut that there, because I don't want it to look too uniformy where we've got the ruffle going right down to the bottom. I think that kind of looks better just being finished off like that, to be honest. So yeah, we'll just leave it like that. Now, just having a look, because I've got a few little bits here. And this is where I find I've got nothing that's going to go on here, but we'll just see. Ooh, what about this? What if I tore the rose out rather than had it in the frame? And this is what I'm talking about. You know, I get to the point where I'm so ridiculous that, you know, I think, oh, I can't have the frame because that's gold and I haven't got any other gold on the page. I mean, that's just crazy, isn't it? Silly, silly behaviour. But yeah, sometimes that's the way my mind's going. Silly and crazy behaviour. Well, that's quite nice, actually. Let's put that on there, I think. So, yeah. That would have gone quite nicely, but anyway, well, I'm not necessarily saying would have gotten quite nicely, but it looked quite nice. Right, do we want to have this on there? And I'm thinking have it off the page a little tiny bit and then snip it. So I'm just going to, yeah, snip it here. You know, like we do with a label, and we have the label hanging off. Let's have this hanging off like that. It's very nice, doesn't it? And then let's just see if we want to put any lace with it. So obviously not the pink lace, but you know, just some other lace here that I've got. So, right, I'm not sure. Let me just take this and sort of cut it just scrappily. Oops, like that. Oh dear. Oh my goodness, doesn't that look gorgeous? Gorgeous and yummy. So yeah, let's just quickly ink that up. Right, let's just pop that down. Okay. Oh my gosh, doesn't that look gorgeous? I just absolutely love how that looks. Very, very, very pretty. Now I've just got some bling. I don't know whether it would sit very well on there. Could possibly have it at the bottom, or I wonder if I could have some of that daisy trim. I do have the trim packs back in my website, by the way. They may have different trims. I was having problems getting hold of some of the trims. So yeah, if they are in there, I think they have different pearly trims. So, I mean, I'm sure it's lovely. I can't remember what it is at the moment, but yeah, I mean, it's all trim that I've used. Even if I haven't used it on videos so far, I have used it in projects, if you see what I mean. But yeah, I have used it, you know, whatever it actually is. Just wondering if we want anything up here. I don't think so, but should we just see if we want any lace or anything, just finishing that off at the top. Oh, we could do, couldn't we? Honestly, everything just always looks better with lace, doesn't it? Oh gosh, I can't ever see which is the right way and the wrong way of the lace. What is going on? I think that's the right way. So pop that down there, just snip that off there like that. Okay, let me just pop that down like that. Okay, right, okie dokie. So like that. Okay, so that looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Absolutely gorgeous. So that's that one, and then let's do one more because we've probably got time for one more. So let's do this one, which was the other one that we said, you know, potentially a little bit problematic because it's quite bright. You know, quite bright compared to the others. So again, let's just have a look. So I'm just going to tear this down. Oops. Just see if we pop that into there, whether that's, oh, I mean, that's rather nice, isn't it? And weirdly, actually quite liking that torn. I don't even know whether I'm going to bother sort of cutting it down to size. I might just have it torn slightly smaller, but yeah, I actually quite like it just like that. Oh my goodness, isn't that gorgeous? yeah, absolutely love that. So, right, let's just pop that in now. Haven't gone right up to the edge because, you know, this might be too tall. So I'm going to put the edge there instead. So tuck it in that side, push it down like that. Okay, like that. Again, just going to put my card in here so that when I press this down, if there's any glue seeping out, it just goes onto the card. I haven't now glued the pocket together. So like that. Okay. Oh my gosh, doesn't that look lovely? Now I've just got the rest of this little bit of documents paper. I mean, I just literally pulled this in because I thought, well, it was just sat there, just a little scrap, but we might as well just see whether it works or not. What do we think to that? Now I've also got, my decorative strips. I've got some shoes, well, boots. These are from my shoes. These are from my shoe set 1. Let's just see. Oh, I did also bring my bird toppers. That one's not bad. Oh, I don't know now. I don't know actually. Maybe these. Or maybe that one. Right, I'm actually thinking, let's just take that down. Yeah, these are my decorative edge strips, and you know, this might just be kind of like a good size. I mean, that's pretty nice, isn't it? So, I mean, again, we could have it there. So, in which case, let me just tear this edge. I just don't really like the straight edges, to be honest. So, yeah. And then have that hanging off on the side. Why I always do things on the right-hand side, I've no idea. I don't know whether it's because I'm right-handed. I mean, actually, I should kind of like pay attention to, you know, Rachel over at Roxy Creations and see, because she's left-handed. I know that she's left-handed, and just see, does she always put things on the left-hand side? Weirdly, my mum is left-handed, but my mum's quite good at using her right hand for stuff as well. So, and I'm sure I've heard Rachel say that she's also quite good at using her right hand. So that's quite weird, isn't it? How, you know, left-handed people, they seem to be quite, not ambidextrous, but, you know, leaning towards ambidextrousness, you know, compared to, like, I mean, I'm right-handed and seriously couldn't use my left hand if my life depended on it, you know, absolutely awful. But yeah, just wondered whether that's a thing, you know, that actually left-handed people perhaps are, you know, just much better at using their both hands. And maybe that's just because they've got no choice, because a lot of things are just geared up for right-handed. And so, you know, they've kind of had to just get used to using their right hand because there's not a left-handed version of a lot of things. You know, I'm sure that that is the case, isn't it? I mean, we do have like left-handed keyboards and things, don't we now? And, oh, I don't know. Can't really think what else. I'm sure it will come to me later. But yeah, there are left-handed things, but, you know, not kind of enough probably. So that's quite nice, isn't it? Now I'm just wondering if we want to have a little bit of sari silk or something like ruffled here. Oh, that's gorgeous, isn't it? Right, so I might just quickly ink this up a little bit. Oops, around the edges. Only because, again, it's easier to do before I put my pieces down. Oh, I've been having this problem with my eyes. Now, I don't know whether I said this in the video last week. I'd been having this like allergic reaction to something. Now, it's been there for a few weeks, but it's getting worse and worse. So last week I thought, well, I'm going to not wear makeup, really, eye makeup for the week. So, you know, I kind of, didn't wear makeup, well, for like most of the week anyway. Oh, I hate not wearing makeup, eye makeup. I felt horrible. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? If you don't wear makeup, it probably wouldn't really bother you, and you probably don't get why it's a big thing. But if you do, going without it is pretty horrible, isn't it? So, oh, I felt horrible all week. And then obviously on Friday night, you know, I was going on my gym Christmas, you know, meal. So of course I did want to wear makeup. So I thought, well, my eyes are feeling much better. You know, it's the skin around my eyes. It's very red and very, very, very sore. I mean, to the point that I literally looked like I had a black eye the other day because it had gone so fierce, like a burn. Anyway, so yeah, I thought, oh, well, you know, they feel quite a lot better. And of course, I don't want to go out on my do without wearing makeup. So of course I put makeup on, and you know, they felt fine and all that. And then when I got home, oh, I took my makeup off. Oh my goodness, my eyes stung so much. So, you know, and I'm just using my normal stuff that I've used for years. So I have no idea what has caused this, but, you know, like, it's been going on for a little while, and of course I was kind of ignoring it, but it's actually getting worse and worse. So again, I've worn no makeup now, like on my eyes, for the whole of the weekend. Still not wearing it today. And you know what? They're just actually getting more and more sore. So it's very, very, very irritating. I'm not quite sure what to do. I mean, irritating, excuse the pun. Yes, they are really, you know, very irritated. You know, they're kind of, yeah, they're sore and stingy and irritated. So I have no idea what's causing it, but oh my goodness, it's really, really, really horrible. So I tried to get an appointment this morning with the doctors. Now, I'm one of those never go to the doctors kind of people, you know, probably should, but, you know, kind of, unless I literally have to, I just avoid it at all costs. So I finally phoned the doctors this morning, and, you know, I just not only couldn't get an appointment, she just wouldn't let me get an appointment. She just said, oh, if you phone tomorrow at the same time, you know, we've got appointments with the nurse. And I said, you had appointments today. The point is, I can't then get one, because by the time I phone, somebody else has already phoned. You know, as soon as you start phoning, once the line is alive or, you know, working, that's it. The appointments have gone. I'm just going to move my camera slightly. Hold on. The appointments are gone. So trying to actually get an appointment is literally near on impossible. You know, you can't get one. And I said to her, that's going to happen tomorrow. You know, I'm going to phone and you're just going to tell me that all the appointments have gone. And she said, well, you know, there's nothing I can do. So, oh, she said, well, you could go and ask a pharmacist. So now, you know, after I get my daughter from school, I'm going to have to go and see a pharmacist, which, oh, they're not obviously going to be happy that I'm going to them, because they don't think, you know, and probably rightly so, you know, that you should be going to them. They would think, why aren't you going to the doctors about this? But yeah, of course, you can't get an appointment with the doctors. So it's just really annoying. But anyway, it is what it is. So, oh, I just don't know what's causing it. And yeah, nothing is kind of sorting it and fixing it. So it's really, you know, a case of like trying to eliminate things. But like I said, I mean, I've eliminated everything now because, of course, you know, I've not got makeup on or anything, in which case I'm not taking makeup off or anything like that. So I don't really know what's causing it. That would look kind of cute, but anyway. So yeah, I'll probably leave this, I think, like that. Well, that's kind of even cute in there. You could even tuck some hearts into the pockets, to be honest, on these. That's very sweet. Right, okay, let's have a look and see how these would go now with our journal, and see whether we've transformed these into pieces that will now mix and match with our journal. So if I just bring in a couple of the pages. So, oops. Right. So, yep. I mean, that goes pretty well now, doesn't it? Oh, look, similar pocket. I mean, actually, that one goes better, probably, but anyway, never mind. we did, oh look, we did 2 similar pockets. So sorry about that, guys. I didn't actually even register that I was doing them quite similar. That one, I mean, how pretty does that look? That one and that one. And then the trickiest one, which was the biggest challenge, was this one, which of course was from this Autumn Blush Papers. And again, we've disguised those papers significantly, and we could now use this, you know, anywhere in this journal because it would now go on any of the pages. So yeah, I really hope that you got some useful tips and tricks there for the mass making sessions, why we mass make, what's the benefits of the mass making. We've done the 6 tips of mass making sessions. And yeah, I hope that you like the pieces that we made. I would really like to gift these to the lovely Marianne. So yeah, these 3 pieces, I'm not going to actually use them in this journal that I'm, you know, at the moment working on. I would like to gift them to the lovely Marianne. So, you know, I'm so aware that obviously everybody was so incredibly kind earlier on this year, you know, following my video with my life update. Of course, I'm going to do another life update soon. I'm still going through sort of things at the moment, so it's still not appropriate to actually do a video, I'm afraid. But as soon as I am at a situation where I can, I will, of course, you know, do an update. But I want to say a massive thank you again to everybody who, you know, donated and was so generous and, you know, purchased things in my shop and things like that. You know I did put out a thank you and I put a kit on my website. So if you haven't got that, please do go over and download the kit that's on my website, which is of course for free. You know, and yeah, just there was such a lot of generosity. But yeah, I would really like to gift these to the lovely Marianne because, you know, I mean, obviously everybody was incredibly generous, and so I'm not trying to kind of single anybody out or anything like that. But yeah, I've just got kind of, you know, I can't obviously gift something to everybody. So that was the purpose of the freebie. But I would like to gift these to Marianne, just to say thank you so much, because, you know, that, you know, your generosity hasn't gone unnoticed, and, you know, as nobody's has. And yeah, just, I guess, a little Merry Christmas and a thank you to you, really. So yeah, so I will get these in the post to you. So yep, that's going to be winging their way to you. And yeah, just want to say a massive thank you to everybody again for all your generosity, you know, back then. And please don't think that I'm, you know, singling out kind of Marianne and ignoring everybody else. I'm really not. But yeah, anyway, so enough waffling. Hope that you've got some good tips there from the, you know, why we do the mass making. And yeah, I hope that you found them useful. Don't forget, there won't be a mass making session next week. I will do an alternative video. And then depending on whether I do a series for between the Christmas and New Year, they may be a mass making, or there will be a little mini series, and then we'll recommence the mass makings in the new year. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support on the mass making videos and everything else on my shop, on my website and everything throughout the year. And yeah, thank you so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks then. Bye.